I want to highlight an issue with Sony mirrorless cameras that not a lot of people know about. I have an FX3 and a ZVE1 camera here that are lined up shooting this 60 hertz projector. And you'll notice that even though the cameras are set to 60th shutter, they're giving me some RGB banding on the DLP projector. And if I actually shoot it at 60, other cameras at 60th shutter won't give that banding because these cameras are telling you the incorrect shutter speed, and they don't actually let you select a real 60th of a second shutter, except on the ZVE1. And we can show you this because this camera has something called variable shutter set. If I turn that on, you'll notice that it was at 60, and now it tells you the real shutter speed, which is 64. So actually, when both of these cameras are set to 60th shutter, they're shooting at 64th of a second. And that's why 60 hertz lights and anything else that flickers, like projectors or TVs, will always flicker, even if you set them to 60th of a second, unlike other cameras, which can remove 60 hertz flicker at 60th of a second. So the nice thing about the ZVE1 is that it allows me to change the shutter speed to 60, an actual 60th. And now you'll notice that the banding is gone compared to this one, which is at 60. And another weird thing about this behavior is that if I go, see now it's at 60.0, that tells me I'm in variable shutter. If I go and turn off variable shutter, it's not there. It's still like that, even though it says 60. But that's because it actually hasn't changed the shutter speed yet. If I go, it's actually, I'm still at 60.0, but if I, from the variable shutter, but if I, using the regular shutter speed selection, go back to 50 and then back to 60, it reselects the 64th of a second. So it's the problem is these cameras are lying to you about the actual shutter speed. And the same thing happens at 125th of a second, where it's actually, you'll see it's actually at 128th. It says 128, but it's actually 120. It says 125, but it's actually 128. It's a very weird quirk to these cameras, and it's pretty frustrating since I run into this issue a lot on the FX3, shooting video walls, LED walls, projectors, flickering lights, sort of practical lights that flicker at 60 hertz, and they always flicker. There's almost no way to get rid of it unless you happen to get lucky and maybe it's a certain kind of flicker curve that's softer, or the content may hide some of the flickering, but it's usually there. Anyway, I wish Sony would fix this. I've had this issue on the A7S1, A7S2, A7S3, the FX3. This is an issue with any camera, and only the cameras that have variable shutter set can avoid this. It's not an issue in 50 hertz countries so much because the 50 hertz is actually pretty accurate, but the 60 hertz, it says 60, but it's actually at 64.